Alright guys, so I'm going to go over just a couple equations in which we're going to solve. We have the variable on both sides of the equation, and this is just for that extra practice, especially for those who still need to finish their CFA or who are going to have to retake that quiz. So if we look here, we have 6x plus 7 equals 13 plus 7x. Okay, well, first things first, the left side of the equation and the right side both have a variable. But if we notice the coefficients, so the 6 and the 7, the coefficients in front of our variables are different, which means we can solve this equation, meaning there's only going to be one solution to this equation. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and solve this now. So to solve this, when you have a variable on both sides, you're going to try and get the variable to one side. So you either want to get rid of this variable or that variable. Now the thing is, it doesn't really matter which one, because no matter which one you get rid of, as long as you solve it correctly, you're going to get the right answer. However, I would recommend getting rid of the smaller variable. Okay, and what I mean by that is the smaller coefficient. So the 6x is smaller than the 7x. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 6x. And the way we get rid of that variable is by subtracting 6x. Alright, but now if we do that to this side, we're going to have to go to this side and also subtract 6x. So what that does is it knocks these out, it cancels them out. Now we're going to say, alright, we just have a 7 left on the left side, so we have 7 equals 13. And then 7x minus 6x is actually just going to be x, or 1x. If you wanted to write a 1 in front of your x, you're welcome to, but 1x and x are the same thing. So now that we're at this point, 7 equals 13 plus x, all we have to do is get rid of our constant, which is 13. So we're going to subtract 13. Alright, and what we have left is 7 minus 13 is negative 6. Now negative 6 equals x. And we have our answer. So now that's really kind of as simple as it gets with variables on both sides of the equation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and move on to kind of a more complicated example of an equation with variables on both sides. So we're going to do this one right here. Now this, like I said, it's a more complicated example. It says 8x plus 4 times 4x minus 3 equals 4 times 6x plus 4. Okay, so a lot going on here. However, we're just going to work through the same steps that we usually do. And so we have a variable right here and right here. Okay, and then we go to the other side of the equation and we also have a variable right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, let me just go ahead and simplify both sides. Now the left side, I see that I can distribute. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this 8x down because it's not being used. So I'm just going to say, okay, my 8x is just going to start off in the equation. Okay, plus 4 times 4x is going to be 16x. Okay, then 4 times negative 3 is going to be negative 12. So 8x plus 16x minus 12 on the left side. And now on the right side, we have 4 times 6x. So that's going to be 24x. Okay, and then 4 times 4 is going to be 16. Now, before we can move on the left side, I see that I still have like terms that I can combine. So 8x plus 16x. Alright, well 8x plus 16x is going to be 24x. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite. I have 24x minus 12 left on the left side, and that equals 24x plus 16. And now let's hold on real quick. What are we noticing that is similar or the same on both sides of the equation? Well, it is our coefficients that go along with our variable. On both sides of the equation, we have a 24x. And if you remember talking in class, if we ever have the same coefficient on both sides of the equation, but different constants, meaning this negative 12 and this positive 16, that means we cannot have a solution. So we would say this equation has no solution because, again, the constants equal the same thing, or sorry, the coefficients equal the same thing, 24x and 24x. However, the constants are different. So no matter what you try to plug in for your variable, both sides of the equation will never equal each other. Okay, because 24x and this 24x, those are the same number. So if on the left side you take 12 away from 24x and on the right side you add 16 to 24x, they will never equal each other. So we would say there is no solution to this equation.